shower.
Travis Alexander's friends found his naked body curled up in his shower on June 9th, 2008.
He had appeared to be dried blood on his neck, appeared to be a neck wound from ear to ear. His face was dark purple, almost black.
His friends immediately suspected his ex-girlfriend, Jodi Arias.
Has he been threatened by anyone recently?
Yes, he has. He has an ex-girlfriend that's been bothering him and following him and slashing tires and things like that.
About a month after Alexander's death, police arrested Arias and charged her with first-degree murder.
This is not a case of whodunit. The person who done it, the person who committed this killing, sits in court today. It's the defendant, Jodi Ann Arias.
At first, Arias denied she was in her ex-boyfriend's house when he was killed.
I didn't commit a murder. I didn't hurt Travis. I would never hurt Travis. I would never harm him physically. I may have hurt him emotionally, and I'll always regret that.
Now her defense says she killed Alexander in self-defense.
What would have forced Jodi? It was Travis's continual abuse. And on June 4th of 2008, it had reached a point of no return. And sadly, Travis left Jodi no other option but to defend herself.
If the jury disagrees, Arias could get the death penalty. This is Arizona versus Jodi Arias, and it's on In Session.
You were sitting in a room, I have to believe, and they brought Jodi into you. Tell us what that was like.
You know, she's a very calm person, and if it's possible for you to remove yourself from the circumstances of why we were sitting down, she's a very likable, very friendly individual. She's chatty and talking. I mean, it's such an amazing disconnect with her, Jean, that she has this ability to chat with you and talk about things that are going on in the world. She's a very smart young woman. And then to bring up this subject, and it's not like she would just turn on a dime and suddenly start crying. She's very skilled. She'd obviously thought about that story for a long time. She'd been practicing it out on several people. We're not the only people she told that story to. And I only wish that we'd been able to get her to tell us another version, the version of the truth where she actually confesses to killing him, although she claims it's self-defense now. I wish we'd been able to get that, but try as I did, we were there for 3 hours talking to her. And she maintains her story all the way through.
You know, we saw the moment after the verdict when you embraced Casey, and we saw this a lot during the trial, Dorothy. You and Casey seemed to have this special bond. She seemed to turn to you when she had those emotional moments. What's your relationship like with Casey?
Well, I have come to know her and spend time with her, and I think actually the witnesses, the guards, for example, who testify, they were brought by the defense about her behavior, her kindness towards others. That's what I saw, her respectful responses even when they woke her up early. The witnesses that the state produced that talked about her as a loving mother, a kind person, that's the person that I came to know. And sitting next to her, being there with her, going through all this was very, very hard for her, obviously, and hard for me as well. It was extremely difficult.
Now, Dorothy, I want to talk to you about after the verdict. There was a lot of backlash against you and the defense team about the celebration down the street from the courthouse, about at one point, I think the camera showing you jumping up and down. I think that a lot of people felt that on this day where a lot of folks were focused on justice for Kaylee, that the defense team was celebrating a victory. Now, what's your response to that?
Well, the case was whether or not Casey Marie Anthony was found guilty of murder, and she was our client, and the team was so relieved and so grateful that she was found not guilty of murder. I can't imagine a circumstance where someone would not feel relief. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions of what really went on. There was no celebratory party that was planned. We were walking across the street to get to our cars. We were followed by a number of individuals who were increasing by the minute. We were concerned, and the people in the restaurant locked the doors, and we were in the restaurant when that occurred. So there was no planned celebration. They then brought out food and drink, and at that point, we were so grateful that our system worked. We were so happy and grateful for that verdict and there was a celebration and a toast, that was made by Cheney Mason, and he made that toast to the Constitution. Was I grateful? Was I feeling tremendous gratitude? Absolutely. Absolutely, I was.
I am here with Tom Mesereau, criminal defense attorney, famous criminal defense attorney, who represented Michael Jackson in his 2005 molestation case, got an acquittal for Michael Jackson in that case. Tom, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
now, Tom,
it, Ryan.
The prosecutors are very focused on the standard of care and how the standard of care was lacking in this case. As they're starting to outline their case, are you starting to see elements that might be very tough for the defense to take on?
Well, to me, as a non-physician, the idea that, first of all, we all have to learn what propofol is. I didn't know what propofol was till Michael passed away. The family didn't know what it was till he passed away. So we have to be educated on the forensics and the science. But what really gets me is the fact that a physician whose patient is either passed away or near death, whom paramedics and police are trying to revive, doesn't come clean and tell them what he gave them. Then the physician goes to the hospital where hospital personnel and physicians are trying to revive him, trying to save his life, and he still doesn't come clean about the major drug that he gave him. That is damning evidence to me.
How about this part of it? Jerry Sandusky. What would you say if you had an opportunity to sit down with Jerry Sandusky?
Wow, that's a good question. I was sitting in the courtroom behind him, and believe it or not, I was like, what if I just went up there and choked that guy? That thought came to my mind, and I know that's not the thing to do. I wouldn't do that. I don't want the security grabbing me when I go back in there, but you know, I don't have anything to say to him. I don't even want to be in a room with a guy like that. It's something wrong with him anytime he has to pursue other people's children in a school bus while the kids going or coming home from school. There's something wrong with that picture, Vinny.
The other part of the equation is from my perspective, the children, right? It's one thing, you know, you leave your wife and your children, right, and you move on, you meet another woman. But he keeps starting entire families over and over again. To me, that's the part that's a little different than, I guess, the more traditional philandering husband.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure, at a certain point, potentially, you know, he's done. He had his wife for 9 or 10 years. She might not be that attractive anymore. Even in case of maybe Kathleen Savio, she had started to talk back at him, and he doesn't like that. I mean, he was portrayed very often as the aggressive bully in the media, right? We don't know if that is really who he is. That is the portrayal. This is what his ex-wife said. And at one point, he was done. He wanted to get rid of the old trophy and have a new one. And what is better than exchanging the old one with a newer model? She can give you children. She is probably a better sex symbol or symbol for you to show how manly you are. And I guess this was the pattern.